This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
Oil prices settled 2% lower on Friday, with a big weekly loss after U.S. jobs data was weaker than expected in August, which outweighed price support from a delay to supply increases by OPEC Plus producers. Brent crude futures were down $1.63, or 2.24%, to $71.06 a barrel, their lowest level since December 2021. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures fell $1.48, or 2.14%, to $67.67, their lowest since June 2023. U.S. government data showed employment increased less than expected in August, but a drop in the jobless rate to 4.2% suggested an orderly labor market slowdown that may not warrant a big interest rate cut from the Federal Reserve this month.
Top oil exporter Saudi Arabia has cut the price for October loadings of the flagship Arab light crude it sells to Asia to $1.30 a barrel above the Oman, Dubai average, Saudi Aramco said in a statement on Friday. That is down 70 cents from the September price of Oman, Dubai plus $2 a barrel. The drop is broadly in line with expectations, as sources at Asian refineries had said the price was expected to fall between 50 cents and 70 cents a barrel. Arab heavy crude prices for Asia had a deeper reduction of $1 a barrel, with demand set to taper off following the conclusion of peak summer fuel oil consumption.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
Russia's economy ministry has revised up its 2024 forecasts for export sales of oil and gas, key sources of budget revenues, by $17.4 billion from the previous estimate to $239.7 billion thanks to a more positive price outlook, a document seen by Reuters showed. The improved expectations for Russia's oil and gas business underscore how the West has struggled to inflict lasting damage on Russia's economy through unprecedented sanctions, including oil price caps and import restrictions, over Moscow's war with Ukraine. The document showed that Russian crude oil exports are seen rising to 239.9 million metric tons, 4.8 million barrels per day, this year from 238.3 million tons in 2023.
Asian refiners' margins slumped to their lowest seasonal levels since 2020 this week as supplies of diesel and gasoline rose after peak summer travel demand ended, industry officials and analysts said on Friday. Persistent weak margins could prompt refiners to trim their output again, adding to a round of cuts that took place earlier in the year when margins were also low and curbing crude demand in Asia, the region that contributes most to global oil demand growth. Asia has been cutting runs since May, 400,000 to 500,000 barrels per day, including China, said Amrita Sen, founder and director of research at consultancy Energy Aspects. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. China lithium futures fell to a fresh low on Friday as worrying macroeconomic sentiment accelerated a downtrend due to surging supplies of the metal mainly used in electric vehicles. The most traded November lithium carbonate futures on the Guangzhou Futures Exchange hit 69,700 yuan, $9,835.74 per ton, the lowest since it was launched last July. It then slightly paired losses and ended daytime trade at 71,200 yuan, down 9.8% from last Friday's close. Data showing weakness in manufacturing activities in the United States and China intensified economic worries among global investors, weighing down risk assets.
Gold prices eased on Friday, retreating from near record levels reached earlier in the session, after mixed U.S. jobs data cast doubts on the scale of interest rate cut from the Federal Reserve later this month. Spot gold XAU equals fell 0.8% to $2,495.86 per ounce by 1:59 p.m. Eastern Time, 17:59 GMT, having hit its highest since August 20, when gold last scaled a record peak. U.S. gold futures settled 0.7% lower at $2,524.60. A Labor Department report showed non-farm payrolls rose by 142,000 in August, compared with estimates of 160,000, as per economists polled by Reuters. July numbers were also revised down to 89,000.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
India plans to extend a ban on sugar exports for the second straight year as the world's biggest consumer of the sweetener grapples with the prospects of lower cane output, government sources said. New Delhi also plans to raise the price at which oil companies buy ethanol from sugar mills as part of efforts to boost supplies of the biofuel, said the sources with direct knowledge of the matter. They did not wish to be identified as deliberations were not public. India's absence from the world market would further squeeze global supplies, propping up benchmark prices in New York and London.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.